With college football 27 right around the corner, I am sure you all have seen all types of what we want in the game videos all over the YouTube space. As we all know, most of these are filled with a lot of amazing ideas, but also ideas that will never see the light of day. So today I wanted to discuss about all the features we will literally never get in college football game because it is either way too hard to implement or could get them in legal trouble or be a bad look for their brand. I'm looking at you, Create Sign. But in all seriousness, these 10 or so things will likely never see the game or make a return from older titles. Let me know in the comments which ones you agree with or any of the ones you think I missed. Off the top, one of the biggest talking points not only in real life but also in the video game is NIL. Many creators have suggested EA will give a full inclusion to what we see in real life with million-dollar deals for recruits. While this would be a cool management system, I doubt it will make an appearance in any of the games. Not only is the system not defined well in real life, a large portion of the people at EA seem to think the majority of the fan base want a streamlined version of features within Dynasty. EA has included a brand grade to recruiting that is meant to suffice as the NIL replacement, and I foresee this being the middle ground they choose to stay with going forward. Another contentious topic both in the real game and the simulated version is the expansion of the playoffs. Not only do we have ongoing talks about continuing expansion, the fan base would also love to see a throwback feature to the 4-team format or even further back to the BCS era. While a throwback version or something similar to the Eras mode in NBA 2K could come at some point, I know for a fact a feature to expand the playoff at your own leisure will never be in the game. Simply put, if they add this in at some point, it reduces a reason that some fans may buy the game when the playoff format is actually expanded in the future. While this is a terrible reasoning for fans, as a business it makes the most sense as they can capitalize on every dollar they can. Next up, we have what I think is one of the biggest missing features from the old days, and that is the ability to port players over to Madden from college football. With NIL being at the forefront of the game, it is nearly impossible to jump around for the legal hoops of including likenesses between Madden and college football. I could envision them having a sort of generic draft roster for the first few seasons, but even stripping players of names wouldn't be enough, as that was the reason the games got shut down originally. So they would have to change the looks, numbers, and possibly even the attributes to get around the NIL relation, and at that point, would fans even care? I am sure some would still want the ability to pour over their CPU generated players later in their dynasty, but that portion of the fan base may be too small for EA to take action. And before we get into the second half of the list, if you're liking today's video, leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button, as it's a great way to stay up to date on all things college football, like announcements and updates, as well as slider sets and conference realignment guides later after release. The fourth feature here is arguably my most desired to be included, and that is the inclusion of the full FCS roster. Since their last inclusion in NCAA 06 or so, we have not seen a real FCS team since. We do have Team Builder, which is an okay middle ground and could be improved with a few changes, but that's a different talk for a different video. But back on our topic, FCS teams will not be in college football at any point. The reasoning from an outside third-party point of view is that it would be too expensive for the return they could get. Even including the mid-major teams is a net negative in terms of financial return for EA. The only real reason they are included is to appease the fan base and make the game holistic. To include FCS teams, EA would have to shell out at least $1,500 per player, which was increased 150% from the year prior, so we can assume it would likely be more, but let's keep it at $1,500 for simplicity's sake. FCS has 63 scholarship spots per roster compared to FBS's 85, but EA would likely add those extra players in to balance the rosters within the game. Regardless, let's also assume they only do 63 real-life players, with the others being generated. That would cost them another $12 million to include the FCS teams. That's another 175,000 copies just to cover the cost. While the teams won't be included for free, I do think they may offer a DLC at some point to add those teams in, but even that is unlikely as payments will be delayed to the players involved, and not many players may be up for that. Custom conferences are always a major part of players' rebuilds, and with one tweak could give endless replayability to Dynasty. That change would be the inclusion of a fully customizable roster of conferences within the game. Adding old conferences back in like the Big East or the Southwest Conference would be a game changer. Even being able to create your own from scratch, similar to Team Builder, would make fans extremely happy. But fan service isn't always at the forefront of developers' mind. While development studios do want players to have a game that is replayable, giving fans a de facto endless well of customization is not in EA's playbook. If they were to open this Pandora's box, they would likely lose out on a lot of repeat buyers down the road. And I know I keep coming back to this reasoning, but to quote Lewis Hamilton, cash is king. With the launch of every game, a lot of requests are made, and the one I see more often than most is the inclusion of ESPN Gameday back into college football like we had in NCAA 14 and earlier titles. While I do think we will get a desk feature at some point involving the major players, getting anything branded at this point is a far fetch. Even looking into Madden, they do not have the licenses for the Thursday Night Football with Prime or even Monday Night Football, opting for Monday Night Primetime instead. Especially with the new regime taking over EA this past year and a focus put on cutting costs with the inclusion of things like AI, it is super doubtful that they splurge for branded partnerships that may cost them some extra money. Well, the last handful of topics are some flagship features we will never get. Some others are the aforementioned create a sign. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Create a recruit is also another one. This is definitely a legal issue, as giving access to this could cause NIL stuff with current or even former players within the game. Another feature would be disciplinary actions for players. Back in the old games, players would actually miss practice and cause other team issues, and you could suspend them or get sanctioned by the NCAA. While this was a cool feature, I don't foresee this returning at any point. And another feature I see all the time included in these preseason what we want videos is the inclusion of a My Park feature in the game. While 2K hasn't been able to do that, it's been culminated over many years, and I just don't think EA will ever include something like that, just because the implementation costs required, and also the fact that most of the fan base in college football is an offline group of folks that don't really tend to play Road to Glory. They pretty much focus on Dynasty. But I'll wrap the list up here. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I am sure there may be one or two I missed, so let me know in the comments below, or let me know if you disagree with any of these. I always like to know what other fans think. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I'll catch you all in the next one.